Welcome to From Cubicle to Calling Spiritual Entrepreneurship Unlocked. In today's episode, we have the amazing Tiara The Balanced Fem. Tiara is a spiritual strategist who combines her intuitive gifts with a diverse background in finance to create a life that merges practicality with spirituality. Now, she's living proof that you can build a thriving business while staying grounded in both the spiritual and practical sides of life. If you've ever dreamed of leaving the 9 to 5 grind and stepping into a life of freedom, purpose, and financial success, then this episode is for you. Welcome to the show. On our show today, we have Tiara the Balanced Fem, and I want to thank you so much for being on this show. To get started, could we just tell me just a little bit about your educational and occupational background?
Yes, so first, thank you for having me. So my educational background is in rehabilitation services and vocational evaluation. I graduated from East Carolina University back in 2012, and my early career was in property management, where I spent about a decade working with large real estate companies in bookkeeping and operations. While it did provide stability, I always knew that it wasn't a part of my being. It was always really uncomfortable for me, although I did it for stability. And now I've stepped into working full time independently. So where I'm able to blend my spirituality with my strategic background.
Wonderful. And so as a spiritual entrepreneur, what is it that you transitioned into being?
So I do offer the normal spiritual services, but I
Uh-huh.
also do a lot of recruiting. So my main goal is to help a lot of spiritualists to kind of have a cushion for themselves with letting them know that it's okay to still work with corporate in some aspect, not
Mm-hmm.
that you totally have to take a big scary leap because I know
Mm-hmm.
that that's scary. So
Mm-hmm.
I pride myself on being a bridge.
So that's wonderful. So for those of you who are listening, who you want to take the transition, but you also still have like one foot on the door, that's okay because these transitions do not have to be done all at one time. You don't have to take that leap of faith. You can gradually transition, or you could stay in that transition where you are still experiencing your calling, you're working your calling, but you're having like you said, a cushion or more monetary options behind you that make you feel more comfortable, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yes. So, what would you say? What aspects of the 9 to 5? Because you said you were uncomfortable. Let's go deeper into that.
hmm
What aspects of the 9 to 5 did you find unfulfilling enough to make you want to transition into spiritual entrepreneurship?
Um, I think the aspects that were so unfulfilling that it kind of forced me to take that leap. Well, it was many things, but the main thing was me trying to focus on the energy rhythms going on up in my body. I did not like having to kind of mix energies with people where I had no control over. So this is, being with a team where you may be with someone who you view as a little narcissistic or just like a lower level energy, and me being super empathetic, having to take that on and up my practices. But I will say this. That experience forced me to learn more because it forced me to go deeper. Some things I was doing, it's okay with, I guess I would consider smaller devils, but like they
Mm,
say, new levels, new devils. So it
mm,
really forced me to get in my spiritual bag. But the most uncomfortable part was just not even the work, but dealing with the personalities, my body not ever. I'm 34. I've never been able to adjust to the rhythm of 9 to 5.
mm-hmm.
Waking up, I'm a rester. And I used to
Yes.
be ashamed of it.
Oh, yes.
We live in like a hustle culture
Sure
where,
do.
oh, you didn't work 16 hours yesterday? You haven't,
Right.
made $1 million or da 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 da, or something's
hmm
wrong with you. And so it was really me being more confident in my own journey and being confident in spirit, and also being able to be upfront and outspoken about what I was hearing spirit telling me to do. So it
Mhm.
does take a lot of courage. So yeah, but I've always been able to see past the mask that corporate America has. And I will be honest and say at one point, I too had to form a mask to wear in order to survive and also to kind of protect myself.
Mhm.
So I totally understand just having to do what you have to do, but it is truly unfulfilling not being able to be your authentic self, not to be able to laugh when you want to at work, not
Mhm.
being able to, okay, well, I don't really like that my desk is over here, facing this way or around these people, not having that level of autonomy where you can just trust and go to HR and say, hey, can I move? But no, needing 30 reasons because they have to go through IT.
Mhm. Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that was the most unfulfilling when I felt like that no one would really help me with my special accommodations that I
Yes.
requested.
Yes. And it is so real. As spiritual people, we are so in tune. I remember at the last corporate position that I was at, they put me in this office and I heard this buzzing because all of my senses are dialed up. As an intuitive, I feel more. I smell my senses, I would call them a basset hound. I smell more, I hear more, and I heard like this incessant buzzing. And I was like, I know that no one else hears it, and I know it's not going to be enough to like make it, but I had to like, it was giving me a headache,
Yeah.
even just putting on the suit, it felt like putting on a uniform or a costume, a mask, like the costume to the mask, being somebody else. I remember I had an internship my junior year of college, and it was at a very prestigious advertising agency in Virginia. And I was doing very well, and I was going to be an advertising executive. My degree is in advertising. I was going to be an advertising executive when I graduated. And I remember being there one day and sitting in that cubicle and being so drained and being like, you realize this is what you're training yourself to do. You realize that this is an internship, but you're going to put yourself in a position to do up to 50, 60 hours a week in this cubicle when you graduate. Is this what you want to do? And it was like too late for me to leave I was like, I can't leave the internship. I'm too far in my academic um, progress to just leave the internship. So when I graduated, I immediately started an event planning business because I knew that I could not be in that environment. I was like, this is going to literally kill you. Like it's literally going to
Mhm.
drain the life out of you. And most people, most spiritual people, they have some kind of a creativity to them. And you're not allowed to fully express yourself creatively. You're not allowed to give, your gifts. And that can be very, very constricting to the point where you're feeling like you don't have any freedom or like you're in jail. So I definitely understand what it was for you that made you to transition. And when you were transitioning, there's usually some kind of an internal struggle. You say you come from a background of finance, which is a great thing to come from. But did you have an internal struggle? And if so, what was it like thinking about what am I going to do for money? I want to be a spiritual entrepreneur, but how am I going to lay the foundation for that? Could you tell me a little bit about that internal struggle?
Sure. Well, for me, the Balanced Fem has been around for a few years now.
Hmm.
So I was always doing readings and other things associated with the Balanced Fem alongside my 9 to 5.
Hmm.
So I did readings. I even tapped into drop shipping at one point, like,
Hmm.
just trying to,
Hmm.
I was
Yes.
getting desperate, like, oh, I got to get out of here.
Yes,
So
I understand. Yes, what do I have to do? Because I'll do it to get out of here. Yes. Hmm.
yeah, so I was just trying to figure it out. But the one thing that I really realized was in the way was my own lack mindset. Because for one, I really had to analyze where I started, how far I came, and
Mm-hmm.
how did I get to the point of where I am now. So it really came back to me being present and not so much of like, oh, well, how can I do this? Because I mean, the truth is, if you survive then, you'll survive now.
That part.
However, with me being more of like a using practical spirituality, integrating the two, I also think it's super important to make sure that you set yourself up for success.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me, making that transition, one of the ways where I feel like I am, getting over that lack mindset is by making sure that I use the resources available to me. And
Mm-hmm.
resources are going to be different for everyone. For some people, it's going to be networking, your community, people
Mm-hmm.
that you know. For some people, I mean, just a many, many things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was making sure that I was kind of encircling myself with resources and
Mm-hmm.
different types of it. Um, Also paying off as much debt as possible. So really, so you're not out here and then it's like, okay, well, I'm here and got this new place here and I'm paying rent, but am I going to be able to make it next month?
Mm-hmm.
You feel a lot better and a lot of weight is lifted off your shoulders when you're not concerned about what's going out. So you can kind of switch your focus and pour all your energy into, okay, what's coming in
Mm-hmm.
versus what's coming out when you eliminate that. So I actually knew, I would say about 5 years that I was going to transition before I actually did it.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. When I transitioned in May, and I knew something was going to happen around about February of last year. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like a gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Mexico City now, but I
Mm-hmm.
was having dreams about being in Mexico City, and I've never been. And I was like, what is this place I keep seeing in my dreams?
Mm-hmm.
But that was spirit telling me, like, this is happening in 2 to 3 months. So I'm glad you got ready. And
Wow.
so that's all I could do is just sit, stay ready, and hold my position until spirit said go. And I just always knew and trusted spirit enough and also trusted myself enough to know that, okay, just in case I miss the go sign or
Mm-hmm.
just in case I allow fear to take over and get scared, one thing that I do know, spirit will push you.
What? What?
Not listen, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I knew that all of the possibilities, and I was able to see that, oh, this is really happening. No matter how it happens, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that really just put me into that mode. And it's just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm just holding my post at
Right.
this point.
Good. And what personal, both personal and professional, because I know it would seem smooth spirit was there, but there had to be some kind of challenges that you experienced.
hmm
What can you bring us through some of the personal and professional challenges that you faced?
Um, well, I'll say this first. I don't really view anything as a challenge. And I
Okay.
know it took me years to get here because I used
Hmm.
to be the most pessimistic, like something happened, you
Yeah,
know.
just fall apart. Yes.
So it took steps to get to a position where I trained my brain to be more solution oriented and
Mm.
focus on the positive, but not to be like overly and like toxic
Toxic
positivity.
positivity. Yep.
It's not that, but I see challenges as directions. Go left,
Hmm.
go right, pause for a second, wait to cross the street,
Hmm.
or stop completely. The road is closed. That
Hmm.
means that there's a lock,
Hmm.
you know?
Denials are detours, you know?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And so I always saw my challenges as directions that I was either supposed to take or not supposed to take. But I think that my biggest challenge always went back to myself and my own mindset. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Spirit set me up so good. Placed people on my path, strangers who were just blessing me, whether it was, monetarily,
Hmm.
with words of affirmations, confirmations that they didn't even know that they were doing, or maybe some
Hmm.
of them were aware, but I don't think they
Messengers.
were.
Mm.
But it was like, okay, I should do this and I should do this, go this way, go that way. So, God is so perfect and everything is so like well planned out in the details. The only way you can fail is if you don't listen
Hmm.
blatantly. And
Hmm.
that's just always been my mindset. But yes, my biggest challenge was myself. trusting my own self to a point when it's just you and spirit, it's just you and spirit, especially corporate America is a community within itself, right? So being in corporate America, I could leave a job and go get another one because I know people in my industry. I know what
Mhm.
they work. This person used to work here. They gonna put me on. When
Mhm.
you start something new, you don't have that anymore.
Right.
So it's like not only are you building your personal community, friendships, and supportive partners, but you're also building again, even if you are fully going into entrepreneurship, you're
Mhm.
building business relationships with people.
Right.
And so it does take practice because I'm going to be honest. Learning how to go out to the world and make new friends is a little overwhelming.
It can be very much so, very much so. As a adult, I feel like it was easier. I was a club kid, I was in this club and this club and this
Mhm.
sport and this sport, and that's like where I made all of my friendships. So when you grow up and you're not running track anymore, and you're not in student government, and you're not in newspaper, and you're not in a school setting, or even after graduating college where everybody is together, it can be a little overwhelming to go. It's like, where are the people? Where do I
Yeah.
go? In which direction? Yes.
So it's like having to do that on your own. But I will say, I got practice when I started solo traveling a couple of years ago. I used to wait for my friends and, oh, well, they not going no more. I guess I'm not going. And
Mm.
then I had one of my old coworkers actually put a bug in my ear, was like, girl, you got to go even if you got to go by yourself. And I'm like, this person has no idea what I'm going through. I know that was spirit. I
Hmm.
planned a trip for like that very next month.
See, there you
And so
go.
I
There
was
you
like,
go.
and I was scared,
Hmm.
but I
Where'd you
did.
go?
Okay, so the first one I went to Jamaica,
Okay.
and then I went to Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
So I was trying to see like how far I could go, how far out, having to go to restaurants by yourself and all of
Hmm.
these things. But the thing is that it's all like practice and test from spirit because
Hmm.
I needed that experience to do what I'm doing now because, I got to make friends and develop business relationships.
Yes.
And the great thing about spirit is that a lot of the times you can get, two things in one because
Hmm.
spirit is so calculated.
Yes. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful
Yes,
thing.
it's really, really awesome. So a lot of the things that you would see as a challenge,
Hmm.
once you get through it, you'll realize that it's just a breakthrough. It's another entrance into another person's world that you are being invited to. And it's up to you to take that invitation or not and to, expand and to be
Yes.
exposed. So
Yes. Such a good point. That's a very good point. So you went over, you said you offer all the spiritual services before, but can we detail your business? What products and services do you currently offer? If someone is coming to you as a client, what are the things that you're offering to them?
If someone is coming to me as a client right now, I'm going to offer them the 2025 forecast.
Hmm.
That's always going to be the first offer
Hmm.
because it details your birth chart. And then I'm also using my energy services, so like energetic audits, to
Hmm.
see where we're going, how we're going to get there, and is this realistic? Is it timely? Things of that nature. So I like to look at it as like creating a forecast or kind of like a personal life business plan, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that you are not blindly going into something. And I do believe in taking leaps of faith. I just believe in taking more strategic leaps of faith because why not work with the energy? It's a cheat code.
Right.
Going
Hmm.
against it is what's going to be a little bit more tougher.
Hmm.
So yes, it's always going to be that, especially for someone with a long-term goal.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, going into like the divination services.
Hmm.
So tarot.
Hmm.
I do love career. What are some other ones? But my specialty is energy audits.
Hmm. Yes.
So I like to view things from a higher perspective. Details are great, but I believe in allowing the person to recognize a pattern, an
Hmm.
energetic pattern, and not
Hmm.
focusing on specific characters within a story.
That's wonderful. And that's what energy is everything. I always say energy is my first language before English,
Hmm.
energy and being able to read that energy and tell people, where you have these blockages or where you have the road is open for you to go through. It'll be your choice or not if you decide to take advantage, but to be able to give them that forecast so they can move forward is very powerful, and people
Hmm.
the importance of the practical and the spiritual. That's what makes you your most powerful. If you're going just with the practical, you don't get to see the entire picture. And spiritual, you're not really taking the action that is needed to gain that momentum to get to your goals and your dreams and your aspirations. So that's wonderful that you offer that. Um, Knowing what you know now, what is something you might have done differently on your path?
What would I have done differently on my path? You know what? Did it earlier.
Did it
Did it
early?
earlier. Trusted myself sooner. Believe
Mm-hmm.
spirit. Listen sooner. Not put myself again back to patterns. I did some of the same patterns for years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Stuck in those cycles,
stuck in the cycles.
Yes.
Thinking that because the vessel looks different or it's a different company
Mm-hmm.
that are saying different things, same devil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes. So getting started sooner.
and you get your hopes up, like, no, this one's different,
Mm-hmm.
super
Mm-hmm.
different. I just know it.
Mm-hmm.
Whole time spirit is telling you, you start to recognize things, and you get to a point where we can just call it what it is, people pleasing, not really
Mm-hmm.
believing in yourself. It goes back to a confidence thing. As a
Yes.
spiritualist, a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm confident, but it takes a different level of confidence to be a spiritualist
Mm-hmm.
because you have to believe what you hear, not only about others. And it's easier to believe something for someone outside of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but believing it for yourself and knowing, okay, what you feel in your body. That's always hard. I know a lot of people kind of, especially who are not really familiar with how spirituality works,
Mm-hmm.
they give spiritualists a hard time where it's like, well, how's this person going to tell me to be abundant when they don't have A, B, C, D, and E? It's
Mm-hmm.
always the comparison thing, but it goes back to what you view as success.
Exactly. Your own
And
definition.
yeah, also, it's a lot harder for us. You're
Mm-hmm.
hearing a lot of things. You're feeling
Yes.
a lot of things. You have to learn how
Yes.
to swim and stay on
Mm-hmm.
track and not get distracted because, oh, that's a pretty fish. Let
Right.
me let me look at this one. When you can see
Right.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
harder to stay
Yes.
on your path.
To stay focused, to stay on. We'll keep those blinders on. You,
Absolutely.
you as a spiritual person, what kind of personal rituals do you use to strengthen your business? Do you meditate? Do you do rituals? Do you work with herbs? Do you work with a specific spirituality that you use to make sure that your business continues to thrive?
Yes, so I do work with herbs and I
Hmm.
also work with Archangel Michael.
Oh yes,
So
the protector.
absolutely
Yes.
the
Hmm.
best. So, and
Hmm.
Michael fiercely protects my businesses, all of my chakras, and it's a prayer that I do every morning and every night. That's I come from a Christian background, so I incorporate a lot of prayer into my practices. To me,
Right.
prayer is like similar to meditation because
Hmm.
doing my prayers, I may just pause, and just
Right.
sit and
Hmm.
absorb and observe.
Hmm.
So that's one of my strongest practices is making sure that you are protecting yourself.
Hmm.
Another thing that I do are like practical protection work, and a lot of it is keeping stuff to myself.
Hmm. Yeah, yes, yeah. Yep, that's very important. Very important.
Yes, absolutely. And I do, I have this. So I carry around this with me. And I guess, I don't know the technical term for
Is
this
it
little thing, like a little vial,
but uh-huh.
but it has salt and cloves. which is
Okay.
really good for protection, banishing, things of that nature. And I just have a little like piece of paper in
Mm-hmm.
it with my name. And I just wrote my name, Tiara Edwards,
Mm-hmm.
and, fold it towards me. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just pray close to my heart. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
going to pick out Psalms
Mm-hmm.
to say for protection.
Mm-hmm.
And I carry it with me and I cleanse it often. But
Mm-hmm.
this really helps. And it's small, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
can fit it in your pocket, put it in your purse,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're interacting with other energies and just trying to see where this goes and feel them out. Doing business, when you don't quite know people, it's
Mm-hmm.
always good
All
to
right.
that simple it works. And I like to work with things that I already have in house because I'm not going to feel like going out every time I need to protect. So
Yourself.
mhm.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I just want to thank you so much for giving us this insight. You gave us everything from where you came from to your services now that you're sharing your gift and you're sharing them fearlessly, that you are finding your path by listening to your higher self, to your angels, and then also gave us some spiritual techniques that you can do, carrying your vial, your herbs, and protection. Is there any advice that you want to leave the audience with?
um I will say that to always really trust yourself.
Mhm.
And so do exercises where you purposefully put yourself in a position to trust yourself. If you can't solo travel, just go out to eat in the next
Mhm.
city over by
Mhm.
yourself and just see how you feel. Talk to different spirits and energies and see how your body reacts so you can really learn yourself. I would also suggest using tools like your birth chart, astrocartography, to figure out what's your next move. Is it
Mhm.
here? Is it there? You know,
Mhm.
so incorporate these tools. They're free online and they're out there. And you can always, do the work to research yourself or ask a professional. So, yes.
Well, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate the knowledge that you have dropped on us today. I truly appreciate you being a part of the show, and I can't wait to share this with the audience so they can be also inspired. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.